Hello folks, welcome back. Today we're going to have a look at this rifle, which ostensibly looks like a very nice sporterized Enfield No. 1 Mk3, but it has a secret. Let's have a closer look. First things first, the action is open, chamber is empty, this gun is safe to handle. So on the No. 1 rifles, you look on the side here, it doesn't say No. 1, it says shortly Enfield. So what we're looking at is an SMLE, a short as in short rifle, magazine as in magazine, Lee as in Lee action, Enfield as in Enfield rifling. And this is a Mark 1 Star. And the reason it's called that is because it doesn't have the volley sights. They're long gone. It doesn't have a magazine cutoff. And it has a slightly different rear sight, which were wartime expedients during the First World War. This rifle is a 1918 manufacture, and at the bottom here is FTR. I've put a bit of chalk in the engraving there so that you can see it better. Made by the good old BSA company. So we've been over the features of this rifle, the main features, the main identification features. The stock was sporterized very well. They took out the foresight protectors, and in its present form you would think it would be quite a good hunting rifle. You know, these rear sights are quite usable, although this one doesn't have a windage adjustable sight. That was one of the omissions they made for the wartime expedient. This is the earlier kind, and it has the windage adjustment on there. And these, you can find these. So if you've got one of these rifles, you can swap this over and have windage adjustment, which is very useful. So, what is this rifle's secret? Well, if we look on the top of the receiver there, and again I've put a bit of chalk into it, try to get the focus right. You can see the stamping EY. And what does that mean? Well, there are various theories why they used EY. One is, because the guy that discovered the fault, his name was Edward Ewell, and stuff like that. But no, if you look at it and think about the British at the time, emergency, first letter of E, and the last letter is a Y. So this rifle, the official designation is EY for emergency use only with ball ammunition. Well, we have quite a conundrum here, because this rifle underwent a factory thorough repair in 1953. I don't know if you can see that. It's not engraved, it's etched on the side of the receiver, just here. If you can see that. And then also on the other side, underneath the rifle description, we have FTR, factory thorough repair. So it underwent a factory thorough repair in 1953. This rifle was released onto the civilian market. I'm trying to find it now. On the side there you will see the word England, and that was stamped onto rifles that were sold to be used on the civilian market as sporting rifles. So, quite a conundrum here. We've got rifle had a factory thorough repair in 1953, stamped EY, but yet released onto the civilian market. Now, I haven't fired this rifle. It was given to me, and the person that gave it to me said, this is a dummy round, by the way, said that the primer pocket here wasn't hit in the center, it was hit off to one side. Now, this rifle may be perfectly safe, or it may not. Personally, I think it's safe, but the reason a lot of these rifles were stamped EY or classified EY was because of wear in the receiver. And if you close the action on this rifle, push this across, I don't know if you can see, but you can certainly hear. Can you hear that? There is play there. You can push the bolt head across. And indeed, the bolt head is stamped. Can you see that? U. The bolt head is stamped U, which, according to Ian Skeleton's book, means a different specification. So, to me, it's quite clear this rifle was designated EY because of play in the receiver, and the bolt head is the witness to that, as well as the EY stamping. Also, on top of the bolt here, there are some hieroglyphics there. I don't know if you can see that. Now, the bolt handle's been polished, and it looks like there might have been an EY stamped on there. It's been semi-polished out. I can't really make that out. It's sort of like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but it looks to me like an EY that's been semi-polished out. So it's quite clear that this was an EY rifle, designated for emergency use only, but somehow made its way onto the civilian market, and was in fact used in northern Canada for many years. In fact, I think it had a scope mounted on it once because of these two holes that have been drilled and tapped on it. So some sort of curved proprietary scope mount. I don't think you can buy those scope mounts anymore. I think they're a product of the 1950s and 60s, but anyway, the other hole here is for the ejector screw, which I took out and put in another rifle that needs it. It's a very nice rifle. Apart from that, it's got the very usable safety, you know, with a nice, nicely shaped safety instead of the round one. I find this one a lot easier to use. Yeah, let me just talk about the barrels on these guns. This is a spare barrel for a number 1 rifle. Whoops. Now then, if I put this dummy round in, you can see there's steel all the way around. All the way around, you know, even where the extractor grabs hold of it. There's still lots of steel there holding that case, providing support for it. And it's highly unlikely that the case will rupture back here where it's very thick, which in actual fact is an advantage over the Mauser design. The bolt head just rests on top like that. Just stops the case from flying backwards when the gun is fired. So, for all its criticism for being weak, the Enfield system is not that bad really. But anyway, that's a spare barrel waiting for a rifle that needs one. And pretty much that is what this is going to be. Apart from the EY designation, this is not a bad rifle at all. It's got a nice barrel on it. The action's good. The trigger is very nice. It's a useful source of parts. Maybe if I get a nicely fully wooded version, I would be able to use the barrel if the barrel had been shot out on it. So yeah, I'll keep it, but I won't shoot it. Another use for these EY rifles was as grenade launchers. Ian Skeleton's book shows a picture of them here, and you can see that the stock is wrapped in wire and the ends soldered over. And these were specialized for launching grenades in the trenches of the First World War. The wire was in case the wood split. I don't think it did these rifles much good to fire grenades, but most of them were EY rifles, although you could launch grenades from regular rifles. But during the First World War, there were specialized members of each unit. I'm not sure what level they were organized, but these guys would be, their main job would be to lob these grenades towards the enemy trenches. When I first came here 20 plus years ago, you go to gun shows and there would be a lot of these rifles for sale at the gun shows with this wire wrapping, and I didn't buy one at the time because I thought, well, what use is that, you know, buying a half worn out rifle? But in reality, I should have bought one, and it would have been nice to have as a curiosity and conversation item to talk about, you know, what they were used for, etc. It's a funny thing about these 303s. They, I never started out to collect them or anything, but being from the old country, as it were, living in Canada, people naturally assume that you're interested in things British, and they give you stuff, or they let you know about it, and before long it's like you find a lost puppy. You take it back with you and you give it a good home, and that's sort of what's happened to me with these Lee Enfields. They are dismissed as a weak action, as a cheap and nasty rifle. You used to be able to pick them up for $50, brand new in Cosmoline in the crate, and nobody wanted them because everybody wanted fancy sporting Mausers. But I wish I'd bought a couple hundred of them because in the day, because they're getting very scarce now to find a good one, and some of the ones that have come into the country lately are very expensive. Surplus found in the Mediterranean and brought in. Quite shocked at the prices, actually. A friend of mine said he bought one of these at the Hudson Bay store for $70 back in the 1970s. I wish we could do that now. I really do. But anyway, I thought you might be interested in this EY model, to understand what the EY stands for, to understand the where, and why it was designated EY, and why, if you've got one of these, look out for that EY stamping, and decide for yourself whether it is safe to shoot or not. If not, take it to a gunsmith and have him have a good look at it. You may decide, like this one, that it's going to be a conversation piece or a source for spare parts. But anyway, there we are. It's not quite a DP, a drill purpose rifle. You can still shoot it in emergencies. Now, just what constitutes an emergency is up to you. Yeah. short magazine Lee Enfield Mk3 Star. Later in the 1920s it was designated a #1 Mk3 Star rifle. That's the British Army for you. Okay, take care of yourselves, look after one another, enjoy your shooting. Talk to you next time. Goodbye.